Brandon Bond is the legal guardian of his nephew Bart, and he's very bad at waiting. He always asks what would happen if I don't wait, and what would happen if I did that when he's told to wait by people. It just makes more trouble than it's worth, and then Bart is denied from what he wants to do. Bart has been deprived of so much in his youth years because of his attitude. Brandon and his wife Glennie have not made very good choices in the situation. They're just asking to lose their legal guardianship with Bart. Brandon Bond, what issues do you have? My nephew Bart, in which I'm his legal guardian, has problems with waiting when things don't say when they'll happen, Dr. Hostman. Like what are they, Mr. Bond? When it comes to times we're stuck in traffic, he has problems with how we have to wait through the line. Once we were stopped with at least 20 cars behind on the bridge, and we were stopped because some pedestrian on the bridge who decided to walk on top of the framework. My wife Glennie and I told him a couple of times, just sit there and do your work, and we'll go when they say we can. How did he handle that? Not too good, because when we told him to wait quietly, he shouted back at us, "No!" We took his work away and made him sit like a penalized person, but then he started kicking the door, and before long it flew open, and he ran out towards the bridge. I tried to chase him, but he ran zigzag through the other cars, and I lost sight of him. The next thing I heard was he ran past the police officers, and they all chased him down the bridge. But then when one of them finally caught him, they drove him back to the police car. From there, we decided to cancel our shopping trip and go home. I had him grounded from leaving our site for almost a month when he did that. It sounds like he just couldn't take that. Up to now, Bart Bond's medicine is working its way into his brain to get to where it becomes capable of patching the aortas of the nerves to prevent the electricity from going all the way through his brain during the operation. The medicine is already halfway there, and it's still got a ways to go before we're ready for the operation. He seems to be gaining enough of the medical functioning at a faster rate than the average person, and that'll be great when he's good to go. Yeah. Once we were going on a vacation with an airplane ride to Hawaii. Things were fine until it was time to go home. That day, when the plane was about to leave, something on it wasn't working right, and so they said it was going to be a while before they could go. What did he do about the situation, Mr. Bond? First, we told him to sit there and do his work, but he was just sitting there dwelling in pain. Aunt Glennie told him she would take his things away if he didn't sit quietly. But then, when she told him to sit quietly and wait, he shouted back at her, "No!" as loud as he could. We continued to tell him to be quiet, but he continued to act out loud. We were about to hold him to the seat, but then he took off from our sight and escaped out the emergency exit. He ran away from the plane down the airfield, and then he hitched a ride on the luggage cart. Then a police officer found him and brought him back to the plane just in time for us to leave and go home. According to what the judge said when we got home, because Bart couldn't convince him that he was safe to be around, was whenever something gets you to wait indefinitely, you are required by law to be denied from it. That sounds drastic. Bart at this point is in the programming wing here at St. Grover Hospital with some other people in the same era. He's under anesthesia, and the technician is installing his new artificial ability to wait in there. We're hoping it's a success, and that his problems with waiting will end after this, like people always believe it will. He's even done some bad choices at school when it came down to waiting. Once, when his elementary school class, when they were doing their unit on dinosaurs, they were doing it with the OPAC projector. All his classmates got to use it, but his teacher told him to wait, even when there was no reason to wait. He even said, "You tell me to wait again, and I'll knock that cart with a projector over." Then his teacher called Aunt Glennie on the phone to come and take him home. His teacher decided to have him suspended until they were done with the unit on dinosaurs. Well, perhaps if his teacher wasn't making him wait longer than the other students, he'd probably feel like a normal student and act normal, too. Bart is now undergoing mental therapy so that he'll have the time to get used to his new artificial waiting ability. Living with artificial abilities in your system takes a lot of getting used to, and so there's hope in the future that it'll work out in a pleasant way. How things turn out for Bart tomorrow we'll never know until then. Now, what I want you to do is listen to some questions I have here and answer with what's known to be the correct answer. How would you rate Brandon and Glennie's performance with Bart's inability to wait? If you said poor, your answer is correct because they're just being ignorant in the situation. If you were me, would you take Bart away from Brandon and Glennie or give them another chance? If you said take Bart away from Uncle Brandon and Aunt Glendy, you called it right. Think about a time when you had trouble with waiting in a situation and tell us at St. Grover Hospital all about it. Why do people always dictate, "You're 11 years old, you can wait"? If you said it's because they're bigots to people who are born waiting disabled, you're really on it. Why do people always dictate, "You waited this long, you can wait longer"? If you said it's because they're ignorant and can't see that there's a waiting renewal required at that time, you answered correctly this time for sure. Why do people like me take kids away from Leo Gardens who don't agree with the facts about neurophysiology and its needs? If you said it's because we're responsible for making sure people function right and don't become weapon abusers, you guessed it right once more. Why would somebody decide that somebody looking for a job is unemployable if they can't wait and be positive about finding things when there's more no's than they're made to take? If you said it's because society is too ignorant to see that some people are just not made for loads of refusals and rejections, and they need to listen to what the neurophysicist says, you did it. Now I'm going to turn over to my next client.